What?
Popcorn me.
What?
Where's the popcorn?
I don't know. I didn't touch it. That doesn't look good.
It's something from the Green Party.
The...
How did that get in here? Oh,
Wait,
hello.
but there's a way in here?
You're not going to like this. Somebody's scrawled on it, vote Tory if you want to end popcorn sanctions. I think they must be getting desperate.
Maybe movies.
Hello and welcome back to Maybe Movies at our new time of 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Well, 4 o'clock in the afternoon if you are here in the UK. Thank you for coming back and joining us again, and if you've just discovered us, then please do all the usual, like, share, subscribe, etc, etc. Before we start looking at Act 1 of our new vision of The First Men in the Moon, we will be doing a very quick shout out, which I will hand you over to.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining me. And please take this little tiny moment to join me in my love of the works of Poltergeist OD and his horror series of Rap Joy. He's just done a new track. It's Killer Clowns from Outer Space. And if you're a child of the 80s, you know what I'm talking about. Join us in our joy. Join us in our joy. And head on over to Instagram and other places to give him a little bit of love and joy. But please, watch the video. He's even done a couple of extra little mini videos to show you how the song got made and how it got distributed. So check them out. Give it some love.
I haven't seen the extra bits yet. I've seen obviously the video itself.
I've only watched one of them.
Oh, okay. I'll have to do it later. Right, for the people at home, and I think also kind of for ourselves as well.
Yes.
The one thing that we didn't discuss last week, I think you were working on the assumption that we were swapping our protagonists in this setup.
I think I was for a brief moment, and then I realised that was stupid.
We're going to be doing this one like we do our Halloween episodes, where we're swapping the antagonists into the relevant stories. So in the first one that we're doing, it will be the Sellerites from First Men in the Moon, in the plot storyline setting of Lifeforce. And then later in the month we'll be doing the other side, where Professor Cavor and his cohorts spin off and discover the vampire ship in Halley's Comet.
That's what I was actually having in my brain, even though I was talking about something else.
It's easy to get confused with these. I can see two setups. I in terms of Act 1 for this, again, it's one of those ones where I'm assuming then we're going to have to say that this is no doubt a Toby Hooper production.
Of course.
So it's been in my head all weekend. I cannot get that theme out of my head. To the point that I had to go and look online, and on YouTube somebody has just uploaded them playing the vinyl of the soundtrack.
It's a great soundtrack. It really is. Isn't it? Isn't that a Henry Mancini soundtrack as well?
Oh, it might be, yeah. I think so.
I think it's a Henry Mancini, which is weird. Like, that's the Pink Panther guy.
Yeah.
He did some stuff. Which is weird, because like when you listen to it, it sounds like Jerry Goldsmith. But that soundtrack is so, I want to say schizophrenic. It lends itself to so many moments. There's the but there are moments that are very Alien-esque in it. It borrows from a lot of genres and a lot of moments to bring something together. It's a soundtrack of many parts.
You're right, though. But like the film is like that.
Yeah, so many bits coming together and making a new thing. Yeah, absolutely.
So I've got a basic idea of how Act 1 might go.
Yeah.
There are options there where it could go one of two ways, and obviously we can discuss it and see what you think. I thought we'd start similar to how Lifeforce starts, where you get the Churchill as it's dropping into orbit around the moon.
Okay.
So we'd see them landing on the moon, then starting to explore, that kind of thing. They discover the big disc, like they do in First Men in the Moon.
Can I go back a little bit? Just like
Yeah, of course.
Well, because one of the problems we really got between Lifeforce and the First Man in the Moon is that the crew is much less detailed.
It's true.
In Lifeforce, we know about Carlson, of course, and there was that one dude who was a bit unusually affected, but even he doesn't get a proper introduction.
There's maybe two of the other guys get mentioned by name, and that's it.
But we're going to be dealing with these guys going forward for quite a bit. Mm-hmm. So I feel like we need to give them some sort of setup. So maybe not just them arriving at the moon, but travelling to the moon. Maybe a short montage that introduces us to the characters.
Okay, so, I mean, you do get that a little bit at the beginning of Lifeforce, where they're approaching it.
Yeah.
So we need to just big up those bits.
Maybe an extra 5 or 10 minutes, absolutely max, but
okay,
an extra 5 just to get the sense of who the crew are and what they mean to each other.
That does work, because that feeds into the next bit I was going to say. Mm-hmm. Because we can, as part of that setup, you can have them in communication with the Science Research Centre. Or Space Research Centre on Earth. So that means we introduce Falada, we introduce the other doctor, I've forgotten his name.
Bukowski?
Yes. So all of those guys, and so between their banter with the crew, we will get a bit of an idea of who the crew are.
Yeah, we'll get some setup going on, because obviously they're not going to be coming back to Earth in the same way that the original crew of the Churchill do.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's just not going to play out. So we've got to characterise them. Unfortunately, they never had names, guys, so it's entirely up to you what you think they might be called. Actually, I'd really recommend suggestions on a postcard.
We did check. There's on IMDb. They're just uncredited crewmen, or just crewman number 1, crewman number 2, or whatever. But
in this version of the movie, we need to get to know them a little bit.
Yes. There must be a crewman Johnson who's probably going to die.
Oh yes, Johnson.
Yeah. So they discover something. Now this is at the point where I was going to have it that the Churchill in its orbit around the moon goes out of radio contact.
I was going to say something to do with the dark side of the moon would be really appropriate.
And it would be that either, again, this is a point where it could go one of two ways. It's either they lose contact, which I think is for about 19 minutes to 2 hours. I think they'd be out of contact.
Something like that. It's not horrific, but it's long enough to be scary.
2 hours.
Yeah. 2 hours! Yes! Oh my goodness. On a timeline.
And then it would either be that the Churchill comes back round and they re-establish radio contact, or it comes back round and they don't re-establish radio contact, or it doesn't come round at all.
Maybe I'm just playing silly beggars. I kind of imagine that like there's that whole hour and a half, 2 hour period, there's absolute silence, everybody's waiting with bated breath. Mm-hmm. And then it comes round the other side and they get radio contact with it, but then there's no response. And then after after 2 or 3 minutes, Houston, you're not going to believe what we've just seen.
That sounds good, because again, I've got some ideas. There's 2 ways this can go.
I just love the tension of them coming round the crest of the moon.
They can
and
see
getting
it.
no response, and then they're just going, yeah, you should see what we can see right now.
My first thought was, they come back around, they can't get any response. There would either have been like a garbled communication or something which made them think something has gone wrong. Uh-huh. Ergo, they have to send a rescue ship up. They think they maybe something may be wrong, or maybe they may have encountered some kind of hostility. Therefore, they draft in a prominent member of the SAS, and then we keep everything on the moon.
Oh, so you want to bring Kane to the moon?
That's one option. Or the other option is they come back with a selenite. And then we bring everything back to Earth. For that more follows the plot line of Lifeforce.
Yeah, but that's not the story.
But that's not the story we're in.
The civilization is on the moon, and we want to explore that. So, you see, like, I was just thinking about it in a very linear fashion. Actually, the idea of because that's what they did in Lifeforce. They set up a rescue mission.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, because that brings Kane into it, and that brings the conflict between Carlson, the emotional man, and Kane, the man of action.
Which, again, gives us that same
It's not
dynamic.
exactly the same, but it's pretty close to that dynamic.
Yeah.
Yes, I like it. Because
Fantastic.
we really don't have an excuse to get Falada up there, which would be the ultimate joy to get all three of them up there. But I kind of like the idea that they don't listen to him because he's literally so far away. And it's this heart versus fist kind of interaction with the head intermediating.
We get the Churchill to come back around the moon. You get, as we say, we get this few moments of tension where they can't get contact. Then they get hold of one of the guys and they're like, "Yeah, we were talking to them. Then we just lost contact with the landing team, a landing party."
Right, let's think about this slightly more sensibly. Like, a single rotation of the moon isn't enough time. But if we extended that period of radio silence to several rotations of the moon before the radio communications came in, at that point, it's reasonable that efforts to rescue them would be underway.
We can even throw in a line saying, "Well, how soon can we get something up?" Well, as a redundancy, we were prepping a rescue mission, but we weren't expecting to need it. So we need a bit more time. And that would
it's going to give us, we need 12, 14 hours, whatever. No, maybe they can't hear the transmissions from Earth because of the transmissions from the moon.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And it's not until they come... The rotations aren't a singular thing. They sort of range...
Yeah.
And eventually they range outside of the edge of that transmission period and they're able to...
And that's when they get the garbled message through, yeah.
So it might be a day or two of them rotating around the moon but not being able to...
Not being able to get anything out. Which did also bring, while we were watching it earlier, did also make me think of another thing. Because they're going to be accounting the Selenites as people from the 80s, not from the Victorian period.
Yes.
Do we want to then say that they've already mastered human speech because they'd have been studying human radio communications?
Yes. Yes. It's kind of what's the word? A corollary to the original text. Yeah. It's like, well, that's what it would have been back in 1899, but now...
Yeah. But that also allows for something else as well, just thinking about it, because we're now going to see the Sellerites 70, 80 years down the line. So we don't know what other technologies they may have developed in that period of time. We can have a play with that as well.
Oh, yes, I suppose we could, yeah. Yeah, we could.
Do we want to keep it a mystery that we, the audience, don't know what's happening on the moon until, say, if we put Kane in that, he's the entry point for the audience, we're following him? Or do we want to be chopping and changing so that we see them exploring the Citadel and all the tunnels as early as Act 1?
No, I don't, because you want build-up.
That's fine.
You want build-up. There's nice layering of tension. Think of it like it's an Apollo 13 situation.
Perfect.
At the opening act of the movie comes across as a space disaster. Mm-hmm. But then the story starts to shift.
Yes, absolutely. That makes sense. And also because we're going to have to go, as I said, quite a bit off book in terms of where we called our acts last week. Sorry, it doesn't always work out. But
yeah. There's a lot more leeway than I thought there was.
And again, as we said, with these ones, we can be a lot more inventive with them.
Yes, we can. There's a lot of give. What?
I thought I heard Void Police. There's Void Police.
You're the one who's come back from the void. I'm not being chased. It's your fault. He's here. He's here.
He's always been here. He's never left. It's only my brain, and you can't arrest me for that.
I haven't been to the void. They can't be after me.
Well, you will be eventually. I'm sure I can teach you. That's mandatory. You have to learn. I'm not going to be the only one who's going in there, and we can't always rely on Chris.
Anyway.
Yes. But that also quite nicely gives us an end of act, is Colonel Kane blasting off to go to the moon.
Maybe not as he launches, but as they achieve orbit, regaining contact with the Churchill at the other side, would be just a nice moment to take over the first and the second act. Yeah, I like it.
Fantastic.
Okay, fantastique.
that was a lot quicker than I think either of us expected. But that also fits in quite well, because adding that extra 10 minutes in at the beginning pads out the runtime to make so that when we get to that point in Act 1, you already feel like a lot has happened.
No, I like it. I do. This is smoother than I thought it was going to be. I was expecting a lot more issues, even at this point.
So we're saying rescue mission, smaller crew, so it'll be him, it'll be the pilot, so we can throw in the pilot who's in the rescue mission in Lifeforce anyway.
Yeah, I want to say make 2 to 3 man crew. I don't want it to be any bigger, because the crew of the Churchill is like a 9-man crew.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of bodies to dispose of.
So there was 4 that went onto the landing party, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's 4 of them, and then the rest of them are on the ship. Cool. We're at the end of Act 1 already.
Yeah, no, it works. It works so far. We'll see how it goes.
We certainly will. So please do come back and join us on Friday when we'll be looking at Act 2 of Life in the Moon, when Colonel Kane discovers the fate of Colonel Carlson. And
so many C's.
There is
so many C's.
And we will discover what lies beneath the surface of the moon.
Indeed, we will.
Until then, take care.
As always, guys, TTFN.
Ba 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 ba.